Es un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni de sus patrocinadores.
Welcome to Your Health Naturally. I'm Lilibeth Andre, your host, naturopath, and pranic healer with Healthy Balance here in Houston, Texas. And I'm glad you're joining us for today. If you missed any of our past episodes, you can find them on our YouTube channel by looking for Your Health Naturally. And hopefully you can subscribe while you're there so we can have you supporting us and receiving notification of our future episodes. Today we have a very special guest. Joining us from Mexico is Magui Block. Magui is a psychotherapist and she practices family constellations and resonance, and she's actually developed her own methods. So I'm very excited to have her here on the show so we can talk a little bit more about that. Magui?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. I'm so glad that you're here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I studied first business administration, and I was really curious why people didn't do what they were supposed to do. You know, it's like I was working in an office. I had many young women at my church. I was really young too, because I was studying the career, and I didn't understand why we as humans don't do what we need to do. You know, we want something, we have a goal, and why don't we do the steps to get it?
Yeah.
As a young girl, I was really curious about that. So at the moment I finished my career, I started studying psychotherapy. And I study, and because it's a practical profession, I needed to have some clients to do my homework.
Sure.
And I started having clients just because I wanted to get my homework done, not with the idea of changing a career. And I had a lot of clients that they kept going and recommending, so I did my change.
Okay.
And since the beginning, I started like trying new ways to help clients move faster to their goals. That's what I wanted. To create an easier way to transform, to create a way to transform with love. We have this idea that therapy, you know, is like to grab a Kleenex, you know, and be crying, and it's going to be very painful.
Yes.
And I don't think that it needs to be that way. So that has been my vision, to create tools, to find paths, to transform with love, difficult issues, heavy issues that are very painful. We don't need to suffer them anymore. We just need to find the path to move forward, and that's what I do.
So from the beginning, you felt that some things might have looked logical to you at your young age, and why not? Why don't people get their act together and move forward, right? Pursuing their goals and their pursuits.
Exactly.
So in understanding that is why you were driven towards psychotherapy, even though you were in the business world.
Exactly.
Beginning to understand why some people weren't catching on to following their goals and objectives or pursuing them, or not maybe understanding how.
Exactly.
That's
That's what moved me.
Very interesting how you came about developing this. And then when did you actually make the switch from leaving the business world behind and switching to psychotherapy?
I had clients, but I was just working as a service. It was my hobby. So I had clients, I was studying, and when I think I was 28 years old, when I decided to really stop doing business, stop anything that had to do with administration, and focus 100% in psychotherapy. Because since the beginning, since I was I think I was 22, I was having clients. Like 2, 3, 4 clients, not a full practice. And at the moment I decided to put my office, because I was a family therapist, so I was working in a tiny office. So I wanted to work with families. I needed a larger office, because sometimes I saw the grandmother, the grandfather, the mother, the father, the children. So I needed space and chairs, and and like I have now, it's a bigger office, and I did games with them, and I wanted material, so I did that move when I was 28.
So how did you first come about introducing the family constellations and the resonance? Because that's a fairly new practice.
Yes.
How did you come about becoming acquainted with that?
Well, it's an interesting story. I was a constellator, and I had many trainings. So I did resonance repatterning, I studied family therapy, I did the Gestalt, dreams, I did many things. And I really liked, people say you need to focus and only see children or only see couples, but I get bored. I want to see, it's so boring to see the same type of clients. And I kept seeing many types of clients. And I was doing resonance repatterning too, and I talked with the founder of Resonance Repatterning Institute to tell her, why don't you include family constellations in your system, because they work the same way. They work with the hologram, in family constellations, in each member of the family, all the family is included. So you can get information from the whole family, from each member of the family. You don't need the whole family to access. You only need a little piece. And resonance repatterning too was, how in reality, this reality is an hologram of our belief systems. If we want to change what we are living, we need to change the systems or the beliefs we have in our head, and then we experience a different reality. So I kept seeing how these two knowledge could be really good together, but she was not interested. So I said, well, she's not interested, but that doesn't mean I cannot do it. My teacher is not interested. I will just start using it, because I received so many clients that they did a constellation. Constellation, they work, I don't know if you know something about constellation.
Well, let's share so everyone knows.
So traditional constellations work in a way that you work with a group. And there is a group of people and the client that is going to do the constellation. And the facilitator or the therapist chooses, when the client says a problem, the therapist says, in this group you are going to choose someone to represent your father, your mother, your illness, or whatever. And the people in the group represent members of the family of the client. But then you depend on the information the people that are representing give. And there are people that are very clean. They don't put their own issues. They just do the work really clean in service of the client, and those constellations are really nice. But there are sometimes we don't let go of our issues, and people in the group bring their own issues, and everything gets like mixed up with the issues of the people that are representing and the issues of the client. And I found, for me, I solve many things with family constellations, and I like it, I enjoy it, but I started receiving in my office, like, people constellated with the big, big teachers, even with the founder.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 year later, they were in my office in crisis
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't integrate that work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really curious because sometimes I was in that session, and for me, it had a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
You see a movie, it's a happy ending, and then you don't understand what is happening later, that the happy ending was for the people that saw the constellation
Mm-hmm.
or participated in the constellation, but not for the client.
Mm-hmm.
And for who is the constellation? For the client.
Right, right,
Of course, right. The client is the one that should solve their issues and their problems.
right.
So I was really curious, and I started to use different tools to see what happened. In constellation, you start with a disorder image. Maybe the disorder image is that the father and the mother are very little, very weak, and cannot support or guide the child.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, a man comes, and when he does the work, the disorder image is that his parents are very small, and he's very big.
Mm-hmm.
He's very powerful. So he has to carry his parents. He cannot take life energy from his family of origin,
Mm-hmm.
so he cannot move forward towards his life.
Mm-hmm.
To have children, to have a wife, to make money, he cannot do that. Because we cannot move forward if we don't take energy, life energy from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the keys. And you start with a disorder image. You recognize the problem,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to move to an order image. If the client integrates this order image,
Mm-hmm.
heals. But if he remains in the process,
Mm-hmm.
the healing is not complete. So what I started to check is with the client, what was the image they had.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a break here and we'll come back
Yeah.
to the explanation. All right, thanks.
Hey.
Hold on there, Maggie.
Si el techo de tu casa, negocio o de tu bodega fue dañado por algún desastre natural, llama ya a los expertos al 713-228-3030 y haz tu cita ya. Vamos hasta donde te encuentres y te hacemos una evaluación gratis. Llámanos 713-228-3030. Nosotros pelearemos por ti con la aseguranza y conseguiremos lo que tú necesitas. Llama ya a los expertos en casos de tormenta. 713-228-3030.
Welcome back. We're talking to Maggie Block about family constellations and resonance and how she developed her own method. So, Maggie, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happened, when I started playing around with these clients that were in crisis,
Mm-hmm.
I created a new way to heal family systems.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was giving sessions for free for a peace project. And I started including these tools.
Uh-huh.
And they were really interested. So the founder of Resonance Repatterning asked me to write some manuals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how these manuals started.
Okay.
I started teaching for Resonance Repatterning Institute a seminar that was called Healing Your Family, then Healing Your System, that it was like an advanced seminar. And then many people outside Resonance wanted me to teach this, but if I was teaching in the Resonance Institute, I could only teach students from the Resonance Institute.
Okay.
So I decided to rewrite all my manuals,
Mm-hmm.
to create new ones to make the program more complete. And now I have that validated by the Secretary of Education in Mexico, in my city,
Mm-hmm.
in my state.
Mm-hmm.
And now these are diploma programs
Mm-hmm.
that anybody that can write and read can study them. They need to be healthy, and they know how to heal these dynamics. That I really think everybody should know about it, because we all have a family of origin. We all have a father and a mother, and we want to go to life and to do our best and to express our potential.
Right. So
I find this amazing. Yes.
So to introduce a little bit more of the concept, by identifying our family structure, we're able to understand where we're coming from, correct? And by understanding where we're coming from, we can learn to heal the deficiencies we might have encountered that are stopping us from achieving our goals and objectives. Is that right?
More or less. It's more, it's more unconscious.
Okay.
These are many things that are happening in family systems. We don't even know who belongs to our family, because we believe that in our family, it's of course our parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, but there are other members in our family system that participate in something that I call the family legacy, the invisible family legacy. And this family legacy is where all the rules of the game of life, our family, are stored. So we unconsciously receive this legacy. And in this legacy are all the perpetrators of someone in our family. If someone harmed your family, that person belongs to your family system and participates in this legacy. So someone can be replicating traumatic situations or attracting violent situations consciously. And this is because it's stored in the legacy.
And it's transferred from generation to generation.
Exactly, and it replicates. So it's not only the structure, it's really to download only what is good for you. To learn how to download from your family what is good for you, and the rest to let it pass. There are tools and exercises, so you can only get the best from your family system. Then you can be who you are. You don't have to be like your parents or like your grandparents. You can honor who you truly are, but first you need to acknowledge that you come from that system.
Sure, that's very interesting.
And it has a lot of. I just wrote a book. It's going to be launched in some weeks in the United States. It's in English and it's in Spanish, and it's this book.
I was going to say, do you have a copy handy?
Yeah,
great.
I brought it here. It's Heal Your Family, and I am very excited with this book because it's written in a way that when you read it, you heal just by reading it. It's written in a language that your left brain is going to be focusing on understanding the theory. And your right brain is exactly doing what in family constellations we do, is create these images that are ordered. So you heal.
So by understanding that, unconsciously you begin to align. Is that correct? You begin to align your understanding of your family dynamics.
Consciously, with the left brain, you understand the dynamics. Unconsciously, you create images that will heal. And you will open channels, energetic channels in your body with the meridians. And this will release and reprogram to a new way to see your family system. Many times the parents are dead, and the member of the family or the client still listens to their voice in their head. It's, I don't have permission to do this or to do that. Who doesn't give you? My mother, but her mother sometimes is dead. So it's our own ideas and our own needs to please the family rules, even if nobody is behind us with those rules.
With those rules anymore, and like
exactly,
it could come in from.
Exactly. It's like my mother would not like that I do that, or my grandmother would not like that I do that, and then when we break a rule, we feel this anxiety.
Yes.
So sometimes someone earns more money and feels this guilt because maybe the brothers or the sisters don't have that abundance, don't have that health. We tend to balance with the rest.
Very interesting dynamics. Maggie, where can people find your book?
It's going to, in Spanish, it's in Amazon right now.
Okay.
And it's going to be in my webpage.
Which is?
Maggie Blog, like my name, like
Maggie
this
Blog?
name, MaggieBlog.com.
Okay,
And in
MaggieBlog.com.
English and in Spanish. And I'm going to sell, now right now it's only in Spanish in my webpage, but in a few weeks it's going to be in English too in my webpage.
Great. So we're starting with the launch of your new book. That's
And
exciting.
you can, you can subscribe. I have a lot of videos with exercises for free. I do a lot of social work. So you can check my YouTube channel. I have
Definitely.
not so many videos in English, but there are going to be more.
Yes.
And you can subscribe to my webpage and see what's happening. And you know, what I want to transmit to your audience is that there are many ways to heal, transform your issues without crying and suffering them again.
That's not necessary.
So, yes, that's what I want to transmit.
That's great, Maggie. Well, I'm sure that folks are looking forward to opportunities where they can heal themselves and not have to relive that pain and suffering.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're having to close, so I really thank you for joining us. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to reading
Thank
your
you very
book
much.
and maybe having you back on the show in the future.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. Well,
Thank you. And we can do an exercise or something practical if you want.
that would be great.
Or something that heals. If your audience can tell you what they would like, what they see as their issues,
And we can pick one.
family, I could prepare something
Yes.
personal for your the people that listen to this radio show, and we can make something for you, for them, to heal them.
That's a great offer. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us. Check out our episode on YouTube. It'll be up shortly, and you can subscribe and let us know what you think. Give us any notes or comments or recommendations. I will be glad to see you next week with another one of our episodes on Your Health Naturally. Thanks for joining us.